Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're really interested in using your voice for voice acting, for voiceovers, but you've absolutely no idea where to start. Well, don't worry, because I'm going to take you through some of the really basic, fundamental steps to getting into voiceovers. So let's dive in and take a look. Hello, I'm Gary. I'm a British voiceover coach and I teach beginners how to get into voiceovers. I hope you're in fine voice. Okay, so how do you get into voiceovers? What are the very first steps you should take in order to get onto that road to voiceover success? All right, well, let's start with the absolute fundamental in my book, and that is, and I'm biased, I hasten to add, get some coaching. Now, I am, of course, a voiceover coach, and I would say that, wouldn't I? Well, I certainly would. But there are some distinct advantages to getting coached. And I think a good coach, will not only teach you how to do voiceovers, train your voice, and point you in the right direction, but they'll also support you in your endeavors and put you on the right road. So you're not going off at a tangent, so that you're doing all the right things, and they'll follow you and your career as you go through and really nurture you. So I think get yourself a coach. If you can't afford to get any coaching or go to a workshop or whatever, then why not try some improv or go and do some drama lessons? They're not as good, but they will help you and they'll help with your voice acting skills. Next step is to make a showreel or a collection of demos. Now, a showreel can be a montage. It's like a collage of all your best bits of work. Shouldn't be any more than 90 seconds. And it can show off various genres and so on. And this tends to be a shop window, if you like, of your breadth and range of material and your vocal styles. But I really recommend doing separate demos. So that would include commercials, or do at least one commercial. You should also do something like an audio book, and you should do something corporate-y, online training, straight narration, perhaps an IVR, which is interactive voice response, so basically an on-hold phone messages. So just deal and record with the main areas where you're most likely to find work, and make sure that showreel is very good and shows not only your vocal dexterity and how good you are at reading those scripts, but is also good audio-wise, so really good quality audio. The best thing is probably to hire someone to do that, get your coach to do that for you, or outsource to a separate company. Or in fact, what you could do is make it yourself, but make sure it's really good in terms of the audio quality. The next step is to invest in a home studio. Now that sounds terribly expensive and elaborate, but it isn't. I've got some tips here for you in this card. But the main thing to remember is you will need a microphone, your computer, and some old blankets and duvets, and anything that's soft, really. So carpets and curtains, things like that, to create the correct ambience of the room. Equipment has got cheaper over the years, so you can set up with a USB microphone for around about £100 odd, and there are some pretty good options. The problem with USB mics is they tend to be a little bit noisier. They've got a lot of self noise, although they're very clever because they've got everything you need built into the body of the microphone itself. Or you can go XLR, which in fact this mic is. And XLR is really not USB, although it ends up as USB eventually, but you'll have to buy an extra bit of kit, which is an interface box, and that is an analog to digital converter, and it will also power the mic with what we call 48 volts of phantom power. So XLR condenser mics tend to be much better in terms of reproduction detail and the finesse that they've got, but they are more expensive because you're buying an extra bit of kit, and they just generally tend to be pricier, whereas USB condenser mics tend to be a little bit cheaper. But there's something for everyone, something for every budget out there, so there's no excuse. Once you're set up recording from home, make sure you test your gear, by the way, make sure you've got a really good sound from home, and check with your coach as well. A good coach will have a listen to your stuff and just give you the nod and say, yeah, that's great, or they'll remark, no, you need to add in more duvets and blankets and pillows. The usual problem actually is the room echo, as we've discussed earlier, and a good coach will be able to spot that at 50 paces. Anyway, once you're set up recording from home, you can move on to the next stage, which is actually getting the work. A lot of people mistakenly think it's all about getting a voiceover agent, and although it's great to get an agent, if you can get one, fantastic, that's great. Although I have to say, even if you get an agent, doesn't mean they're going to get you any work. You may just end up on an agent's books for ages. So great to tell your friends, oh, I've got a voiceover agent, But if they don't get you any work, it's pretty useless. The golden rule, by the way, is to make sure that you don't pay an agent anything up front. A good agent will only work on commission. However, what I do suggest is you definitely sign up to some of the VoiceOver websites. Now, these come in two sorts. We've got what are called the pay-to-play sites. So there's sites like Mandy.com, Voice123, Voices.com, Star Now, and so on. And there's quite a few of them these days, so we're spoilt for choice. But sign up to as many as possible, even as a free member, because there's still that chance of you getting work because you go into the database. And it's all about ubiquity, really, you being sprinkled all over the place, and hopefully someone can find you. However, those sites really come into their own once you are a premium member. Now, it can get quite pricey, so choose your websites carefully and perhaps try one out and then give that a go for a few months or a year or so, and then swap to another one and see which works best for you. You're looking for some return on your investment at the end of the day. And then we have what are called the freelancer sites. Now, these are completely free to join and they won't cost you anything, but they will skim off some sort of commission. So freelancer sites to consider are People Per Hour and Fiverr. Guru.com is another one, freelancer.co.uk if you're based here in Great Britain. But there are quite a few of these out there. Also, there's Voquent, and we've also got sites like Covioco.com. And I'll put some of the links in the description below. But the key is to get out there. This is your marketing, really. These voiceover websites act almost like your marketing, and you don't need to employ a marketing company to do it because they will hopefully be matching voice to client. We're almost there. However, I've got one final thought, and it's an important one too, and that is you should take care of your voice. Really look after it. So try not to shout, try not to whisper, because that can strain the vocal folds, the vocal cords as well. And you should really drink a lot of water as much as possible. Try and minimize the amount of alcohol and caffeine and colas that you take, because at the end of the day, this thing in here, your larynx, your voice box, is your musical instrument. It's what you're using. It is the main tool of your trade. So you have to keep that in tip-top shape. So please do take care of it and take a look at some of my vocal tips as well. All right, well, I hope that helps. That's my definitive guide in a way for voiceovers. Please do it. If you don't do it, nothing will ever happen. So give it a go, give it your best shot, and see what turns up. Okay, all the very best of luck. Take care of your voice and see you next time.